Let's lock in. Gary Antoine Russell shuts out Rayo Valenzuela. In the build up to this fight, Rayo's been talking a lot. A lot of it sounded like ego. He's been feeling himself. He's been smelling himself. He beat Pitbull Cruz and he got the belt and he's been feeling good. And let's listen to some of the things he said about Russell and about his old trainer. And hindsight's 2020. We're looking back. Let's listen to what he said about Russell.
Russell got a lot of knockouts. All his fights ended in knockout except for one. How do you feel going in there against a dangerous puncher?
It really means nothing to me. I'm a totally different fighter than him. We saw what happened with the last fight. Rayo did a great job, and I don't think he was really hurt even once in the fight. So I'll be ready. I'm prepared.
Were you able to pick?
Now, he said he's a totally different fighter. Yeah, we know because you lost every round. You got a sympathy round on, I think, 2 of the judges' scorecards, but I scored at 120, 108. Rayo got beat every single round. And this is the problem when you fall into them traps. You're talking about what he didn't do in his last fight. You saw his last fight. This is what I'm talking about. You can't go off of the last fight because you're not that same guy. And he didn't hurt Polo, but he hurt you. So, and he had you on the back foot, and he had you scared to throw punches. But anyways, let's listen to what he kept saying.
Pick things up from that fight versus Rayo?
Yeah, definitely.
Rayo, how important for you to look for that knockout? Is that something that is in the back of your mind and searching for that knockout? Obviously, it's always important not to fighters saying that they don't want to leave it to the judges, but looking for that knockout.
Yeah, it's always in the back of my mind, So, but I'm coming to fight. I'm gonna fight smart. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna have my hands up. He's gonna have his hands up. So, we'll see who breaks who down.
Right, moved to 140 and then the coaching change. What do you feel that Robert Garcia and the new coaching team has brought out of you that we've seen more patient and more resilient in the ring?
Just peace. You know what I'm saying? Peace of mind and his experience being in there. I think him also being a fighter, like I can relate to everything he tells me when we're training and when we're in the ring. Like what he tells me just clicks. So, it's definitely his experience. I can feel it when I'm in there and it makes me feel really confident and good.
Last question. Rayo. How do you, it's like everything is out the window once the fighter's defeated, you feel like more composure now that the biggest pressure is actually out the way?
I mean, they've been telling me I had.
Well, anyways, you heard what he said. He can relate to Robert Garcia. He's a former fighter. Everything he says makes sense to him. All this stuff, right? Here's the thing. What I've just been saying, what I was saying before. Robert Garcia is a great trainer, world-class trainer, trainer of the year, recipient, candidate every single year. But Jose Benavidez Sr. is someone who knows Rayo. He knows you. He's been around you, like he knows you as a person. He helped you get to that point. So then you leave him and then you go with Roberto Garcia because it's the sexier name to you. And yeah, he's a former fighter, so he gets all this. And then you got shut out. How many fights in your career have you got shut out? At least with Jose Benavidez Sr., you may have won a few rounds, or maybe you would have won one round. But this is what I'm talking about when I say like you switching trainers and you're doing all this stuff, and sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and you gotta look at yourself. Sometimes you gotta look in the mirror and you gotta look at yourself because you lost every round at the talking about you and this is what I mean about feeling yourself. You say Gary Antoine Russell really wasn't like that, and you're a different type of fighter. You said he wasn't special. You kind of took a backhanded shot at Jose Benavidez Sr. saying like, oh, Ryan Garcia is a former fighter. Everything he says makes sense. Like we can connect. We can do everything. Yeah, you did. You went out there and you stunk up the joint. But that doesn't take away from Gary Antoine Russell, on the other hand, who looked phenomenal. This man bounced back after his loss. He dominated the fight from start to finish. He had a very high punch output. I was worried that he would fade toward the end, because I've rarely seen someone be able to keep up that type of punch output. Like Manny Pacquiao in his prime comes to mind, but he kept up the punch output. What was impressive about Gary Antuanne Russell was every time Rayo landed a big punch, he answered back immediately, instantaneously. He never allowed Rayo to take the play. He never allowed him to take the play. He never allowed Rayo to feel comfortable. His hand speed was better. His punches were sharper. He just dominated. Gary Antuanne Russell looked like one of the best fighters in the world last night. And you got to give him respect. You got to give him respect for that, because he did it coming off of a loss. Rayo is a good example of why you can't get too much confidence when you see a fighter have a bad performance, or get too much confidence because of fighters coming off a loss, because not only did Rayo not capitalize on the things that the opponent did who beat Gary Antuanne Russell, but he didn't even win a round. He got cooked, got flamed up. This is another example of feeling yourself a little bit too much. I'm a completely different fighter. Like he started thinking he was, and now he has to go back to the drawing board and figure stuff out. Gary Antuanne Russell, his dad passed. His dad used to be in his corner, used to be his trainer, was replaced by Gary Russell Jr. And I think that played a role in him losing in his last fight. I think that it was emotional. He wanted to do it for his dad so badly that he was pressing a little too much. I also think the absence of his dad and in having Gary Russell Jr. in his corner was kind of a sobering moment. And what I mean by a sobering moment is when you suffer a loss of that magnitude, it doesn't really hit you that the loss is real until there's a moment where that person would have normally been there and they're not. And I think that was the moment when Gary Antuanne Russell went into the ring and he came back after the first round and he saw that his dad wasn't there. And there's the realization that all the years of doing this with his dad and all that's gone. And your brother's there, so that's a great thing. Your brother's a fighter, champion, very talented in his own right. And your brother's going through the same thing, so you can understand that. But I think that moment got the best of them. But you can tell last night they were ready for it, and they were going to take it. Gary Antuanne Russell was going to become champion. Like, you were going to have to hit that man with an aluminum bat to stop him that night. And you can see what it meant to his brothers. You can see what it meant to the family. So salute to Gary Antuanne Russell. Salute to the Russell brothers for a great performance. And Rayo, I don't want to down him too much because like I was with Rayo when he sparked out Chris Colbert in his fight with Pitbull Cruz. I felt like he was fortunate to get that because I feel like he ran a lot. And I don't know what went to his head for him to start thinking he's levels above Gary Antuanne Russell and thinking that, you know, he can not show appreciation to someone who helped him get there. But, you know, it is what it is. Drake has this line. How you would a manager you got after you got the win. For everyone who's with a manager who was willing to take them on after they became champion or became a big, that to me says a lot about you anyway, unless you were getting ripped off, unless it was some Don King type of situation. But anyway, salute to Gary Antuanne Russell. He looked like one of the best fighters in the world last night. I hope he goes to the gym and build on it because he looked phenomenal. Salute to the Russell family and salute to Rayo Valenzuela. You can bounce back too, just like Gary Russell did, just like you did before. But you got to understand and put some respect on people's name. And you can never underestimate anyone in the sport of boxing. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. I try to get to all the comments. I may not be able to, but that doesn't mean I don't see them or appreciate them. Hit the like button and helps this video circulate and get into the algorithm for other people to see. And if you want to listen to the content, but you can't watch it, then this podcast is available on all major streaming services. You can check it out that way. I appreciate your support. Thank you for rocking with me. It's Caden. I'm out. Peace.